Good morning, everyone. Treasure Troller here from the partially mask-wearing militant state of Michigan, where we have Gretchen Whitmer as our governor and dictator. And I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, just ask Kelly Stafford. And news is that our benevolent dictator may be lifting the mask mandates before the 4th of July. It's very kind of her. Thank you, O gracious, benevolent dictator, O Lord and Master. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the newscaster Ivory Hecker that announced on live television just before her segment that she had gone to Project Veritas and she was going to, kind of drop a bombshell on her news station, which basically fired her. And then I caught the Project Veritas interview, which I use that term very loosely. There wasn't any bombshells in it, and what I really took from that interview with James O'Keefe, it's almost like, and this is live poker, and there's certain poker tells, certain things that mean things, that a lot of people interpret as a strong hand or weak hands, and one is talking, and it's sort of like when the final card is of the flop is shown, and maybe you put in a bet and you're in it with one other person, and this other person like jams all in. You really think you have the best hand, and all of a sudden they do something kind of out of the ordinary, and you, even if you just say it sort of inquisitively and not really at them, but saying like, well, how much more is it to call? Or you more direct, you ask them to try to get a read on the situation. I ask them, do you really want me to call? And what they do is they just start talking. How much more is it to call? What difference does it make? You got a lot more chips than I do. Mine are all in, and it's only maybe a 30-year stack, they just start talking, and usually that means they really don't want you to call. And to me, that was a lot about what was happening with that so-called interview with James O'Keefe. It really wasn't an interview. It was almost like James O'Keefe sort of posing a question, and Ivory trying to convince him that her view of the situation is the correct view. She was rather loud. I'm not saying combative. She was aggressive to me, aggressive towards James when she was answering the questions. She was trying to persuade him her way of thought was correct. I think some of what she said is valid. The interview with some of her co-workers when they were talking to them, I think in a bar or something, was much more telling than the interview with Ivory itself. But there's good ways and there's bad ways to end your job. This wasn't something that Ivory just thought about a day before she made this big announcement. She hasn't been happy with the way she sees things going at the station and how they select segments. I think a much better way would have just been put a 2 weeks notice in, and when the 2 weeks notice ends, she could kind of be like Ellison Morrow and and start her own thing. Allison left. She wasn't happy with the way things were or how certain things were done. She did it very gracefully. She, who knows how many contacts Ivory could have had just, from that news station. So there's a few things that I agree with Ivory, but for the most part, I don't think there was she didn't drop any bombshells about the news or how the news is produced. And I think she tried to make some issues out of things that are just sort of standard practice. If you have two segments and you can only use one of them at I don't know, the 6 o'clock news, which one do you run? I personally think I'm probably going to run the one that appeals to more of the viewers. And I guess Ivory took that as a bit of a slap, and one of the things, anyways. And I guess she was tired and she wasn't going to take it anymore. So I don't think there was much of a bombshell there. There was a few things, but who doesn't think that the media isn't completely, I guess, honest with us at this point in time? I think if you believe that the media is always telling us the truth, then, well, you might want to look into some counseling, anyways. So with that, this is Treasure Troller saying aloha and good day.